Hello, World Civilization 106 class. Welcome to week 9. So you should have seen that I wrote a mass email letting all of you know that you needed to watch this, that I was going to do some revisions as best as I can for the duration of this class. I'm aware that not only are a lot of you just fatigued due to so many of the things that were going on before what's going on now. It's just a very distracting time. And what's important is that you're still learning what you need to be in the academic world and get a solid education. So we might have another paper to write later on, but for now, I am going to have you all do as little papers as possible. So you should be noticing that I'm going to be writing. I'm not going to erase the entire assignment because in the future, I take this class and I will move it to another class in a shell. So just for this semester, I'm revising things, and so on the weekly work objectives and on the assignment, you will say that it says canceled and I put a 0. Okay? So when it comes to papers during the week, when you see that, you don't have to do the paper. So this week, you will not have a paper. So tonight, you should have an exam due, right? I mean, you do have an exam due by tonight. And then next week, you're just going to do video notes and discussions. So what I want you to do is, if you are someone who has been behind, if you have low scores on any assignments that need to be fixed, I'm also going to give you an opportunity to do those. So just for now, okay, it gets to a point where we're going to run out of time in this semester. If you are not able to turn in late work, what I'm going to do is, if I grade and you don't turn it in, you get a 0, of course. But what I'm going to do, and you don't have to ask right now, this is what I'm going to allow for you. You can turn in late work and get full points as of now, until I say that can't be done. But what you need to keep in mind is that there's going to be a point where there's a cutoff, and I will not take any late work because we're going to be running out of time. I can't have, and if everybody does that and it gets too much to where I'm backed up, then I'm going to have to switch that. So don't do that unless you necessarily have to, okay? But what I'm trying to tell you is I want to be supportive for those of you who are struggling and that you need to fix some things or do whatever you need to do. So, but I advise everyone, keep up with the class, and if you're keeping up with the class, just keep doing what you're doing. For those of you who are falling behind, falling apart, have something that you want to fix, right now I'm working with you on that, okay? So please keep that in mind. Now, in terms of the discussions for class, let's be real. A lot of times, they're not the most productive. A lot of time, many times, students are doing this last minute and they're putting fluff in there. I'm not saying all of you. You know who you are if you're the one doing it. So you don't have to question if I'm judging you. You know if you just were trying to say things to just get through the discussions. I'm not making you write papers as much as possible right now, but I expect the quality of the discussions to go up. So this is how I'm keeping my academic integrity of the class and taking off a workload for you. So when I talk about you need to read certain sources, and I have the links for the reading in the module, which I have, and there will be specific questions and topics that you need to cover. If you want to get full points, you have to make sure you're doing that to the best of your ability, okay? And I can tell if you've read something or not. And I want to just remind something of this as well, that if anybody cut and pastes from something on the internet and I find out that there's plagiarized content on the discussions, you automatically will flunk my class. Okay. Unfortunately, I have to say that most of you don't do that, but unfortunately, there are people who do that, and I'm not going to tolerate that. So I'm trying to help you guys out. Just be authentic. If you're behind, it's better to just tell me than try to do anything that would be unethical in the whole thing. So overall, what I want you to just see is that I'm trying to give you some relief and help you out. And so let's go positive moving forward on that. Okay. And then I just want you to communicate with me if you need anything. That's always the most important. I try my best to get back to all of you as soon as possible. Now, I just need to say a few things about today's content. You'll notice that we already covered ancient Israel, and then I'm doing a topic on Judaism. And I'm wanting you to see how they're connected, but they're also somewhat different. And part of the reason is because of the temple, right? So I'm not having you write a paper on it this time, but I want you to just think about, I just want to point out that when you studied ancient Israel, we had a priestly class of men and animal sacrifices at a temple in Jerusalem. The temple is no more. There is no priestly class doing animal sacrifices except for the Samaritans, which are a very small number, if you remember. And so the way that Judaism evolves is somewhat different than the history that what you saw when we talked about ancient Israel. I also point out in one of the videos that the current Israel-Palestine conflict is its own different thing that really is rooted in the 19th century up until now. And I know that this doesn't seem like this could be true to many of you, but I would argue that religion does not have as much to do with it as many people believe. The Israel-Palestine conflict is not a primordial battle that's been going on from time immemorial between the Arabs and Jews. It is a modern conflict based on opposing nationalist identities and a view of history. And when you see, and I wrote down in one of the videos that I made a mistake in one of my lectures, and some of you are not seeing that. I don't know why, but I said that around 1914, I believe 1917, that Avi Schleim said the Jews were about 20% of Palestine. It's actually more like 10% at that time. And so, but that was from something that really I cover in my 107 class fully. If you have any questions about that, then please feel free to contact me, and we can go off on that separate topic. Also, I put a clip by a Karaite, and he talks about how the Karaites are more authentic. Keep in mind, that is an ideological debate that I'm not advocating. So when I have rabbis or different scholars or some of the videos, just keep in mind that I'm not always advocating everything in there. I'm not trying to promote one thing versus another. I'm simply showing you the difference between the point of view of a Karaite, a Jewish practitioner, and then you're seeing the Talmudic version, which is most mainstream. Most Jews are practicing something dealing with the Talmud, okay, and rabbinic Judaism, right? So I just wanted to point that out. I think that's pretty much all I have to say on all that. And so, yeah, we're going to be doing this section. I think it's very important. Then we're going to go into Rome. And we will be hitting Christianity soon, which I know a lot of you will like. And I think I hope that you're seeing, as we discuss all these all these various things, that all this history keeps tying together. Okay? And I hope that can help us also maybe as a positive distraction from things going on in the world that are very grim. I'm going to keep posting things on Ukraine and Russia and what's going on. There's so much that we could do and stop and talk to think about this whole situation. I was gonna try to have like a meeting time with everybody, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do that. But I do want you to contact me if you have any questions or something that you want to go over about what's going on, that you might find helpful trying to make sense of everything. I'm not an expert on it, but I have studied a lot on this, and what's happening there it is integrated into my World Civ 107 class. So I do have quite a bit of knowledge about what's the background, and why it's happening and why things are not happening. Um, I'm also going to just tell you about certain things that I don't have knowledge of. So may we all do well and get through some very serious stuff at this time. Be good to yourselves and each other, and we'll be in touch.